Welcome to the Serious Side, a Gurukul YB production. Hi, I'm Ovia Raja, and welcome to Episode 5. The topics for today's podcast are mountaineering, the Oxford comma, should it be used or not, the Super Bowl, smoking and the New Zealand ban on it, and March Madness. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the sweet sounds of our podcast.
नमस्ते। आज हम संगीता जी के साथ एवरेस्ट का माउंटेनियरिंग के बारे में बात करेंगे। नमस्ते संगीता जी।
नमस्ते अभिनव, कैसे हो आप?
अच्छा हो, आप कैसे हो?
मैं भी अच्छी हूँ, धन्यवाद।
चलो तो अब हम सीरियस क्वेश्चंस शुरू करते हैं। Can you tell us a bit about Mount Everest?
So as many of you might know, Mount Everest is the Earth's highest mountain above sea level, located in the Himalayan range. और हिमालयन रेंज में 100 से ज़्यादा पीक्स हैं exceeding 7200 meter elevation, और एवरेस्ट is the highest with 8848 meters of elevation, and it is formed from a tectonic smash-up between Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates tens of millions of years ago. And of course, it's beautiful, and people all around the world, the climbers, mountaineers, they just want to explore Everest once in their lifetime.
Wow. So everyone who wants to explore Everest, but who was the first person to ever conquer Everest?
So the first person confirmed to have reached the summit of Mount Everest was Edmund Hillary from New Zealand mountaineering, and it was in 1953, and he was the first one to reach the summit with his Sherpa, Mr. Tenzing Norgay from I guess Nepal, because you can access the summit from Nepal as well as from the Tibet side.
So I heard you say the word Sherpa. So what is a Sherpa, and who are they, and what is their role in Everest?
So yeah, Sherpas are the key players in climbing the Everest. I don't think that without Sherpas, many climbers they may not be able to get up to the mountain. Sherpas are local people, guides, who are highly skilled and experienced climbers, and because they are local, they are native, they know the surroundings. Of course, they get paid to prepare the route, fix the ropes in place, and carry the necessary climbing kit up the mountain. But if you just think that they are climbing the same mountain, but with all the heavy load, which all the foreigner climbers may not be able to do. So they carry the kit, they carry the extra oxygen cylinders, they carry the ropes and other things. So they are the heart and soul of the mountain, and it's just not possible without the help of these Sherpas for the climbers to climb. And many Sherpas actually have died helping out others and saving others' lives.
Okay, so Sherpas are definitely the key to climbing Everest.
Yes.
So other than needing a Sherpa, what are some of the present day challenges in climbing the mountain?
So like, if you're climbing any other mountain, most of the challenges are similar in Mount Everest too. The weather can be very unpredictable, winds, snow, extreme cold. There can be sudden ice fall, avalanche, and more than that, the altitude sickness, because of course it is the highest peak. So over 8,000 meters, it's literally called death zone, because the oxygen is so less than that the climbers can get disoriented if their oxygen supply is not ample.
Okay. So a lot of people seem to be climbing Everest nowadays. So has the mountain become a business?
Everest indeed is a multi-million-dollar industry today. It was not the case before. In 50s, 60s, till 80s, Nepal and Tibet, they would just give very limited permits every year. But as they realized that it can be a very huge money earning business for them, starting somewhere in 1990s, they started giving lots and lots of permits each season. And it's sad in a way, though it's a million dollar industry, and the Sherpas get paid, and the local people, they earn money as more and more travelers are coming there. But it is in a sense bad also, because it is not good for the mountain also if it has so much traffic on it. And in recent years, there's been deadly traffic jam when climbers are towards the when they are towards the peak, and if the few climbers slow down, then others have to wait in line, and they just have to keep standing in long lines, and their oxygen supply, they just use it all before they can even reach the mountain, or maybe while coming back they run out of the oxygen. And there are many cases of deaths due to that. And there's been debate going on that there should be a limit on the permits each year, so the climbers who are coming there from all over the world should not meet such a deadly fate.
Yeah, definitely. If listeners wanted to learn more about the mountain, where would you recommend them to go?
Though there are, they can just search Google, read books, there is information every day. Personally, I do like a book very much, which is called Touching My Father's Soul. And it's written by Gemling Norgay, who is the son of Tenzing Norgay, the first Sherpa, like I mentioned before. And the way he has explained mountaineering or climbing and conquering the Everest, it just comes alive in front of your eyes, and you know about the challenges, not just for the foreigner climbers, but also for the local people, for Sherpas, and how intimidating it can be. At the same time, how it can be an experience of a lifetime for the climber.
That's wonderful. That's great. Thank you for joining us on this section of the Serious Side, Sangeeta ji.
Thank you, Abhinav. It's always my pleasure.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Hi, Jahnavi. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jahnavi Shukla, and I'm in 7th grade and in level 6E at Gurukul.
Sounds great. Now, let's jump right into the questions. First of all, do you personally use the Oxford comma?
I do use the Oxford comma in my writing. I think it makes it a lot more easy to understand my writing.
Nice. Why or why not do you think it is needed?
I think the Oxford comma is needed because a lot of the time people use AP style, which is which is a different style of writing, but then they make their writing much more confusing and they don't even realize it. So, for example, when I was learning about the Oxford comma, I read an article on Grammarly. So they had an example like this: I love my parents, comma, Lady Gaga, comma, and Humpty Dumpty, which shows that you love your parents, Lady Gaga, and Humpty Dumpty as three different people, or I mean, as four different people. But then without the Oxford comma in AP style, it would be like this: I love my parents, comma, Lady Gaga, and Humpty Dumpty. So then a lot of people might think that your parents are Lady Gaga and Humpty Dumpty, which is not what you're trying to say. So a lot of people argue that you can just rewrite the sentence and be like, I love Lady Gaga, Humpty Dumpty, and my parents. But that'll just take longer to write. So I personally just think using the Oxford comma would just make everybody's life more easy.
That's a really, really interesting opinion. So, do you think using or getting rid of the Oxford comma would help world languages in any way? If so, how?
I think the Oxford comma won't really harm or help the English language in any way, because those little minor changes, like the Lady Gaga example I gave earlier, most people would have common sense and guess that your parents aren't Lady Gaga and Humpty Dumpty. But in some cases, in other languages, it might not be that easy. I don't know those many languages other than English, but I know sentence formation might be different. For example, in Hindi, people say "Mera naam Janvi hai," which means "my name Janvi is" in English directly translated. So for them, it might be hard if they're learning English because they might directly translate and then make a really bad mistake.
Wow, that is very, very true. So now we're going to transition into some Hindi. क्या आपको लगता है कि ऑक्सफोर्ड कॉमा विवादास्पद होना चाहिए या नहीं?
मुझे लगता है कि अगर अंग्रेजी व्याकरण में अगर सिर्फ ऑक्सफोर्ड अल्पविराम ही होता तो अंग्रेजी व्याकरण और आसान हो जाता, लेकिन दो अल्पविराम होने से मैं समझ सकती हूँ क्यों यह विवादास्पद है।
क्या आपको लगता है कि ऑक्सफोर्ड कॉमा को भविष्य में हटा दिया जाएगा या रखा जाएगा?
मुझे लगता है कि ऑक्सफोर्ड अल्पविराम इंग्लिश में रहेगा ही, क्योंकि ऑक्सफोर्ड अल्पविराम एपी स्टाइल अल्पविराम के पहले आया, तो और लोग को ऑक्सफोर्ड अल्पविराम को रखना होगा।
Yeah, I definitely agree with your opinion. Thank you, Genevieve, for being here today for this interview, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
नमस्ते, मैं हूँ शिवेग और आज मैं सुपर बोल और विंटर ओलंपिक्स के बारे में बात करूँगा। अभी मैं अनामिका जी के साथ हूँ। अनामिका जी, आप कैसे हो?
मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ ईशीर, आप कैसे हैं?
मैं बहुत अच्छा हूँ। क्या हम शुरू करें?
बिल्कुल, जब भी आप शुरू करना चाहें।
पहले हम सुपर बोल के बारे में बात करेंगे।
ठीक है।
Which team in the NFL were you rooting for at the start of this football season?
In the beginning, I would say Seahawks.
So why were you rooting for the Seahawks particularly?
Because I have a special affection for my home team. I have been in Seattle for so many years, so I feel like I'm a Seattleite.
That's a nice way to put it. Did you watch the Super Bowl or celebrate it by attending a party or a get-together?
We kind of celebrated, we watched with my family, and I also had a daughter of my family friend, and it was really lovely watching together and having yummy snacks.
Thank you. In the Super Bowl, which team did you think was most likely to win out of the Rams and the Bengals?
I think it was pretty close. And honestly, I did watch the entire thing. For the most part, I thought maybe Rams will win.
Well, you're right. What was your opinion of the Super Bowl ads and their halftime show?
pretty good actually. Yeah, ads were pretty good, and that's another attraction for me to be glued to the TV, the halftime show and the ads during Super Bowl.
And now for a little twist. अंत में आपको सुपर बोल कैसे लगा?
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा और मुझे गेम से ज़्यादा अपने परिवार जनों के साथ बैठ के समय व्यतीत करने में बहुत मज़ा आता है.
अच्छा, अभी हम विंटर ओलंपिक्स के बारे में बात करते हैं. क्या आपने विंटर ओलंपिक्स देखा?
मैं ना कभी कभी देख पाती हूँ, बट मेरे बच्चों को बहुत अच्छा लगता है देखना, तो वो मुझे बताते रहते हैं कि क्या चल रहा है, बट मैं ज़्यादा नहीं देख पाती, कभी कभी.
अगर आप देखते हो तो आप किन से विंटर स्पोर्ट्स देखते हो और क्या आपको अच्छा लगता है ज़्यादा?
मुझे क्या ज़्यादा अच्छा लगता है? मुझे वो फिगर स्केटिंग बहुत अच्छा लगता है, जिस तरह से सब लोग करते हैं और इतनी स्विफ्टली मूव करते हैं और इतना उनको देख के लगता है कि इतना रिदम में जा रहे हैं वो लोग. तो मुझे फिगर स्केटिंग देखना बहुत अच्छा लगता है.
Was there any particular country you were rooting for in the Winter Olympics or any particular participant?
No, not really.
Okay. And were you surprised in how the Winter Olympics turned out? Because I know I was certainly surprised because so many athletes were affected by COVID.
That's so true. That's really sad actually. I really hats off to those athletes and the people who organize these events. I don't know how they do it, but it's a bummer when you put in so much hard work and towards the end you are not able to do it. So yeah, I definitely feel sad for them.
मुझे आपसे ये प्रश्न पूछने के लिए धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. मुझे आपसे बात करके बहुत अच्छा लगा ईशीर पे. धन्यवाद.
बाय.
बाय.
नमस्ते, मैं हूँ ईशीर और मैं ईशान जी के साथ हूँ. ईशान जी, आप कैसे हो?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
मैं अच्छा हूँ. क्या हम शुरू करें?
Yes, we can start.
Which team in the NFL were you rooting for at the start of this football season?
I've recently moved to Cleveland for college, so at the start of the season, I was rooting for the Cleveland Browns.
That's a good. So what major are you doing in college?
I'm a neuroscience major as of right now.
Oh, that's cool. Did you watch the Super Bowl or celebrate by attending a party or a get-together?
Yes, a lot of my friends and I put the game in our common shared room downstairs. We had snacks and we watched the game.
Okay, all right. In the Super Bowl, which team did you think was most likely to win out of the Rams and the Bengals?
Personally, I thought the Rams were more likely to win, but I was rooting for the Bengals because of Joe Burrow.
What was your opinion of the Super Bowl ads and their halftime show?
I really liked the ads, especially the one about cryptocurrency. I thought it was really funny. That was just a QR code running across the screen. I thought the Super Bowl halftime show was amazing. I saw a lot of my people I listened to on stage, so it was really nice to hear that.
Yeah, Coinbase's QR code was really weird. All my friends were like chasing after it. अंत में आपको सुपर बोल कैसे लगा?
I enjoyed the Super Bowl. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of big moments, big hits, big catches, especially. I thought it was a great Super Bowl from beginning to end. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, now let's switch it to the Winter Olympics. Did you get a chance to watch the Winter Olympics or any specific Winter Olympic sport?
So I didn't really watch the Winter Olympics that much in depth, but I did watch Shaun White compete for the last time. He's been one of the people I've watched throughout the years, and it was sad to see that was his last ever Winter Olympics.
So which sports did you most likely watch, or were you wanted to watch?
I watched a lot of the curling event and a lot of the half pipe snowboarding event. Those are the two of my most things I watched in the Winter Olympics.
Do you dabble in snowboarding or curling, or do you just like those?
Personally, I just like curling. It's a really fun sport to watch because there's so much that goes on to it. There's so much calculations and stuff. I've snowboarded a couple times. I can't say I'm very good, but I enjoy the sport. I enjoy watching people do tricks on the half pipe, flip, and twist. So yeah.
And was there any particular country you were rooting for? Any particular participant?
I really want Shaun White to have a great ending and win off with the gold. Unfortunately, he couldn't do that, but it was just very fun to see him compete for the last time. But I wasn't really rooting for anyone specific besides that.
And were you surprised in how the Winter Olympics turned out? Because I know I certainly was, because so many athletes were affected by COVID.
I never think COVID had a huge factor. A lot of athletes that were healthy to participate couldn't participate due to COVID restrictions and that sort. I also kind of forgot about the Winter Olympics before they started, so it was good to see all the sports coming back.
मुझे आपसे ये प्रश्न पूछने के लिए धन्यवाद.
Thank you for asking me these questions.
And thank you for being here on the serious side. Thanks everyone for listening, and I will see you on the serious side.
In the marvelous year of 2021, a lot of things were in the air. COVID-19, political turmoil, when is it not? And screams of high schoolers panicking about their semester grades, including me. Alas, all have died down, maybe except politics. But in 2022, cigarette smoke is very present in our lives. It's impossible to turn a corner, walk down an alley, or drive to Seattle without seeing a smoker. Of course, one country has said, "Be gone!" It's not the USA, it's not China, but it's New Zealand. Today, we will be discussing the application of their plan to eradicate smoking in the United States. Cigarette smoke kills 480,000 people a year, with 41,000 of them resulting from secondhand smoke exposure. Are you kidding me? These smokers are risking their lives, our lives, and our planet. Deforestation and wildfires are just a fraction of the consequences of cigarettes. The question that is raised in the minds of most is, can the United States government suffer through such a large drop in revenue? Helping us to answer this question is an AP microeconomics teacher, Spencer Bernstead.
All right, I'm joining Aryan on the podcast. Thanks for having me, Aryan.
Okay, so let's get to the first question. How much does the United States rely on the sales of tobacco?
Well, in 2020, the revenues from tobacco, from taxing of tobacco, was $12.35 billion US dollars. Now, total tax revenue, $3.4 trillion in 2020, so $12.3 billion. Big chunk of change, but it's not like we entirely rely on the tobacco tax to keep things running. That being said, $12 billion funds a lot of programs. So that being, roughly about 0.5% of $3.4 trillion in tax revenue, that's still a big chunk of change. And so those tax dollars certainly support a bunch of government programs. So there's still a role to play for this taxing on the sales of tobacco.
Next, let's assume tobacco revenue disappears. What could that mean for the US and all impacted parties like tobacco manufacturers?
I'm assuming that this question is saying that tobacco revenue disappearing means that there's no longer cigarettes being produced in America, so I'll answer it from that standpoint. So if tobacco revenue disappears, that's about 13,000 jobs in the cigarette and tobacco industry that are now gone, so that's a lot of people out of work. That's, the $12.5 billion that we referenced earlier in taxpayer dollars and tax revenue that's funding certain government programs. You're going to have to find different funding sources for that. And so, quite a bit of parties that are impacted if tobacco revenue disappears. So, in theory, obviously with looking out for the health of all Americans, maybe that'd be a good thing, but there'd be a lot of trickle-down effects of that could affect quite a few parties negatively.
And finally, what do you think about New Zealand's plan to ban smoking? Do you think it'll work? Could the United States follow their footsteps? For those of you that don't know, New Zealand's plan to ban smoking is to slowly raise the legal age for smoking year by year, and therefore by something like 2030 the age will be like something crazy like 42, and when they finally cut off cigarettes from their country, the impact will be much less on who's actually smoking and who will be impacted by this sudden cutoff.
This is just my personal opinion. I think it's a bad idea, and I think it's a bad idea from an economic standpoint too. Not only are you losing out on quite a few taxpayer dollars, but not only that, like if cigarettes are, it's just like, we have a great example of when we tried to ban alcohol 100 or so years ago. What it's going to do, and this is a classic theory within economics, is it's going to create black markets for the product. People are still going to find a way to get the product. If you ban cigarettes in New Zealand, if you ban them in America, people will still find a way to get the products, but then they will be getting them in shadier ways. They're, again, like I said, creating black markets. So I don't think it will work. And also, not to mention, the fact that there would be an uproar from citizens who smoke a lot of cigarettes. Yes, cigarettes are bad for your health. Nobody should smoke cigarettes. But at the end of the day, sometimes that's somebody's choice, and that's the choice they're making. And there's a hefty tax on cigarettes, and so there's a black box label on cigarettes too. No, they cause cancer. Everybody knows that. It's pretty free and clear at this point. It's not really questioned. So I don't think it's a great idea. I don't think it would work, and I don't think the U.S. would ever try to follow in their footsteps. Just because I think it's not feasible. That's just my opinion. So there you go. Thanks for having me on the podcast, and I hope this helps.
Thank you so much to Mr. Bernstead for giving us these insights on New Zealand's plan to ban smoking. It seems that it's not going to go in the direction a lot of people hoped, but only time can tell that. So thank you so much. भारत के लिए एक संदेश। जो लोग 15 साल से ऊपर हैं, उसमें 30% लोग टोबैको का इस्तेमाल करते हैं। लगभग 11% के बच्चे के घर में कोई टोबैको के इस्तेमाल करते हैं और उसके धुआं बच्चे में जाते हैं। उस पर और 20% के बच्चे बाहर से सेकेंड हैंड एक्सपोजर मिलते हैं। क्या कर रहे हैं आप लोग? अपने बच्चे और परिवार को भयानक बीमारियां दे रहे हैं। ये समस्या सिर्फ भारत में नहीं, पर पूरी दुनिया में है। स्मोकिंग बंद कीजिए, वरना इंसान खुद को मार डालेंगे क्लाइमेट चेंज या अपोकलिप्स के पहले। धन्यवाद।
This segment of the podcast will be dedicated towards the March Madness 2022 and my predictions for the season. I believe that the Baylor Bears have a really good chance of winning March Madness 2022 as they performed really well and even won March Madness in 2021. They beat Texas 68-61. Texas is also a candidate or a fan favorite to win as they got second place last year. I personally want Gonzaga to win March Madness because they performed really well and have performed well in the past years that they were in March Madness. They're also based in Seattle, my quote-unquote hometown. Gonzaga has a great team, and I believe that they will definitely win this year. प्रसाद पसंदीदा निश्चित रूप से बेलर बेयर्स है, जैसे कि उन्होंने पिछले साल जीता था और सभी को उम्मीद है कि वे इसके कारण जीतेंगे। मुझे व्यक्तिगत रूप से विश्वास है कि वे जीतेंगे क्योंकि उनके पास एक महान टीम है और वास्तव में अच्छा खेलते हैं। इसलिए उन्होंने पिछले मार्च मैडनेस जीता। बहुत अच्छी टीम थी और अंत तक वास्तव में अच्छा खेला।